Hello, good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of Sports Central, brought to you live and exclusive to Spectrum Television. This fine morning, I am Mutabe David, returning on your screens to keep you updated and informed about what's trending in the exciting world of sports. Returning a day after we saw the African Championship semi-final take center stage with Morocco progressing to the finals of the Chan tournament. To take a look at the two semi-final games that happened yesterday and the nations that have made their way through to the finals of this particular event. We'll also look at other sports development this morning. The US Open is currently up and running with the singles competition still at the heat of it. Top-seeded players Yannick Sinner yesterday also, of course, maintained a perfect start to life at the US Open. We'll look at the world of football as it has to do with transfers. A few days before the summer transfer window officially slammed shut, and players are still moving left, right and center, joining new football clubs. Today, the EFL Cup also returns with some teams also in action as well. We'll talk about all of these stories extensively on the show this morning. But before that, let's first of all bring you updated and up to speed with what's trending in the exciting world of sports. Welcome once again to the show. The conversation starts from the world of tennis, where Yannick Sinner became the first man to successfully defend his US Open title if he wins this competition, since Roger Federer did that in 2008. The reigning champion made an impressive start to answering that question with a yes in New York just yesterday afternoon, where he dispatched Czech Vít Kopriva 6-1, 6-1, 6-2 to reach the second round. Sinner looked fresh throughout the 1 hour, 38-minute clash in his first appearance since he was forced to retire in the Cincinnati final against Kalu earlier this month. The top seed moved freely and struck with precise depth to rush Kopriva, who struggled to cope with the Italian's clean ball striking on Arthur Ashe Stadium in the past first head-to-head meeting. Sinner has won the first 3 hard-court majors, triumphing at the Aussie Open in 2024 and 2025 and the Flushing Meadows in 2024. The Italian, who received a brief medical timeout for an issue on his finger at the closing stages of the third set, will look to continue the march towards his 5th slam and 3rd of the season when he faces Alesi Popperin after the Australian beat Emil Rusevori 6-3, 6-4, 7-6. Away from that to the WTA scene, where home favourites Coco Gauff came through a stern examination of a first troublesome serve to beat Australia's Alja Tomljanovic in a competitive US Open first-round match. Third seed Coco Gauff was far from convincing, but did enough to win 6-4, 6-7, 7-5 in almost 3 hours during Tuesday's night's season at Flushing Meadows. The 21-year-old American serve came under particular scrutiny given the ongoing troubles with her opening shot. Days before her home Grand Slam, 2023 champion Coco Gauff reshuffled her team, sacking coach Matt Darley and hiring biomechanics expert Gavin McMillan, who helped rival Arina Zabalenka's overcome her serving difficulties. The reigning French Open champion serve was put under pressure again in a long battle against 79th-ranked Tomljanovic. While many believed Coco Gauff's service motion was generally more in unison and balanced than previously, she was still broken 6 times and hit 10 double faults. Gauff finished with 10 double faults, a relatively low number for a 3-hour match. She now has a 21-win and 4 losses record in Grand Slam first-round matches, has won 21 straight major matches against players ranked outside the top 50. Well, to the world of table tennis, where Nigeria's Aruna Quadri has retained his place as Africa's #1 table tennis player despite slipping 3 places to 26 in the latest International Table Tennis Federation World Rankings released yesterday. Aruna now has 1,185 points, keeping him ahead of longtime rival Omar Sarr of Egypt, who remains 33rd on 930 points. The Nigerian lead comes despite losing to Sarr in the round of 64 at the WTT Europe Smash in Sweden last week, with the ranking system rewarding consistency and cumulative results over the past 12 months. Key to Aruna's position are points gained from earlier tournaments, including 350 points from finishing runner-up at the 2025 ITT of Africa Cup in Tunis, and 210 points from a semi-final run at the WTT Star Contender in Doha. He also earned 175 points for reaching the round of 16 at the ITTF World Championships earlier this year. Elsewhere, Nigeria's other leading men saw further drops. Matthew Kuti fell 4 places to 289 points, while Abdulbasit Abdulfatai dropped 3 to 206 with 81 points. Nigeria's women face similar struggles in the latest ranking update. Fatima Bello remains the country's top female player at 122nd with 189 points, but Ajokeo Jumo fell to 158th. Aminat Falshola slipped to 186 and Shukurat dropped to 211th. Well, to the world of basketball, D Tigers guard Izine Kalu has teamed up with Women's Chinese Basketball Association franchise Wuhan Shengfang ahead of the 2025 and 26 season. The former FIBA Women's AfroBasket champion will continue her sojourn in China after also featuring for another WBCA outfit, Zhejiang, during the 2024-2025 campaign. In what was her only season for Zhejiang, she averaged 21.5 points, 4.2 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 2.5 steals per game in 33 WBCA outings. The 33-year-old played a big part as Nigeria claimed a 5th successive FIBA Women's AfroBasket title in the Ivory Coast and a 7th continental crown overall. D Tigers' victory also saw them secure a qualification spot for the 2026 FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup. Kalu's illustrious professional career, although nomadic, has seen her feature for Lendanuk in France, Stars in Germany versus Academia in Hungary, Rome in Italy, Portuguese outfit Olivers and Club Desportivo Torres Novas, Russian side Dinamo Kogs, as well as Kayseri in Turkey before the move to Zhejiang in 2024. Kazakhstan Kairat Almaty. Away from that, now straight to the world of football. Kairat Almaty carved their names into football history yesterday night, booking a maiden UEFA Champions League group stage berth after outlasting Celtic 3-2 on penalties. The Kazakh side frustrated the former European champions across 2 legs, both ending goalless before holding their nerve in a nerve-shredding shootout. Celtic collapsed from the sport, missing 3 penalties, including a decisive effort from Deshing Maida to confirm their relegation to the UEFA Europa League. The defining moment belonged to Temelan Amkebov, Kairat's 21-year-old goalkeeper, who pulled off decisive saves and cemented his status as the unlikely hero of the night. Despite dominating possession, Celtic struggled in front of goal, managing 22 shots across both matches, but only 8 on target. For Kairat, the triumph marked a watershed, their first ever Champions League appearance, and only the second by a Kazakh club since Astana debut in 2015. But that's all we have for your sports wrap-up at this time. We take a very short break. When we return, we'll have an extensive conversation as regards sports and other development in the world of sports.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to another exciting time to talk about the best of stories in the world of sports. It is Sports Central, and my name is Blyden Ukem. Exciting times ahead. Well, the guys already on the table with me, ready for the talking point, the build-up that comes with it. I'm looking all to a show interesting. I'm looking at a qualifiers from the UEFA Champions League. Some decent teams are finding that we're first-timers and debutants in that direction. One from Kazakhstan, and both teams also finding a position in the UEFA Champions League. And we're talking about some other teams, the likes of Bafos, a great Cyprus team in that direction. Part of a conversation today will build around the US Open, the big guns doing the magic. Alexander Zverev also qualifying from the first round of a competition to the next, but Novak Djokovic, question mark in that regard. We'll get a look at all of these, and even in the world of football, transfers are taking center stage. Well, starting off from the introductory part of it, have a good morning. So good to see you and the traction you have from your end.
Well, quite a delight to return in another exciting morning like this. You know, returning on the heels of Yannick Sinner returning. Looks fully fit at the moment. There were conversations before the start of the singles in the US Open around, of course, his level of fitness, especially after having to withdraw the finals of the last competition against Kalu. But the man is here quite prepared, getting the better of his opponent in the first round, and it looks set to continue from here.
Looks set to continue from here. And Fanitina, good morning. So good to see you.
Indeed to be back, honestly. Talking about Kalu, having to observe, I followed her match closely. She still struggled with the serve, even with the hiring of the power mechanics. Talking about Gavin Macmillan, I still couldn't help her, but I think it was at a reduced level now. She had just 10 on forced errors in a game that spanned 3 sets. So that's quite low for a game that spanned 3 sets. But let's see what happens going forward, because if she still continues with this serving problem when she meets top opponent, I think it might just be more difficult for her.
Well, likely going to be more difficult for Coco Gauff. Fanitina says that. Let's go to the thick of a conversation, starting from the US Open, the world of tennis at Flushing Meadows. Part of it, or the start of it, would be a world number one returning after being sick at the Cincinnati Open. Talking about the finals of the Cincinnati Open against Carlos Alcaraz, where he had to withdraw and retire in the first set. But Yannick Sinner is back with such level of form, and he said, according to what we got, Yannick Sinner made a statement and said, look, so happy to be back, beating the Czech Republic and Vít Kopriva in that direction. He's 28 years of age, 1 up, 38 minutes span, 6-1, 6-1, 6-2 victory for Yannick Sinner against world number 89. Unfortunately, I'll start with you now. Good to see the world number one return, with a smile and super form, adding up the number. But here's a perspective for him. He wants to become the first player since 2008 who gets to win the US Open back-to-back. Well, since then, 2004, 2008 was Roger Federer winning it back-to-back. No one's been able to do it, and Yannick Sinner is starting out quite well. 6-1, 6-1, 6-2 victory.
Well, this man makes tennis looks easy, and when you look at it, I think he's one of those players who would always go down in the history of tennis. He's a very big superstar. He's still very young, so has a lot of
21.
So I think even if he does not break that record by Roger Federer, he will break it before he ends his career. So it's just a matter of time. And when I heard Chibe David talk about the man being fully fit, he still had to withdraw in the third set to go fix his wrist and fingers there.
And that's quite different from the illness anyway.
Yeah. Well, but he's not fully fit. You cannot say fully fit when he still had injury.
Well, probably it was fit in the course of a game. It's part of the game. So
he had issues with his finger during the course of those quick hitting.
So I'm looking at him. I'm still. To be fair, I'm not really a big fan of Yannick Sinner. I prefer Carlos Alcaraz, so I'm always on the side of Carlos Alcaraz. And when I see the man being so dominant, it makes me worry for Carlos Alcaraz. But let's see what happens. They are touted to meet at the final stage. They're not in each other's draws, so definitely has his own different path. Carlos Alcaraz in a different path. So let's see what happens. But Yannick Sinner, I think he's one superstar who is always going to be at his best, no matter how the fitness levels are. It's always going to be a tough test for any tennis superstar in the world. So congratulations to him. Let's see how he does moving forward.
All right, before you come in, just keep your thought anyway, because I don't want to skip you. We'll go back to it. I have to go a bit personal in Fanitina, based on the statement he's made now. Well, first question would be your love for Carlos Alcaraz, similar to that for Manchester United, and on the other hand, what is it about Carlos Alcaraz that's making you so loving him?
Well, I think the man has had quite a very Hollywood rise. We're talking about the stuff of Hollywood, because how he started as a next-gen star, not many expected it from him, but the man has been able to. And he's also someone who likes social media. Yannick Sinner is more like Lionel Messi, very, very quiet, just does his stuff on the pitch of play, so doesn't really involve his fans in what he does. But Carlos Alcaraz, come on, this man is the man. He has fans scattered across, not just tennis. Likes of Vinicius Jr. always trying to hang out with the man. And at the match where Barcelona faced Real Madrid last season, they were watching the game between Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner, just supporting the man. He's just a larger than tennis superstar at this point. And what's there not to love about Carlos Alcaraz?
Well, back to your thought, because in the coming days we get to reflect on what Funny tonight is talking about. Sadly, we didn't get a football, so we're going to talk about Manchester United and the love for Manchester United. Go ahead with it. You want to add something?
I think the question surrounding whether or not, of course, Yannick Sinner can actually, win the US Open back-to-back, I think it's very possible. But then I think it will be very difficult to sit here and say he would defend the US Open at this moment. He did that at the Aussie Open. Recall he's won it back-to-back already. So I think it's just a case of trying to not be under pressure, trying to set that record straight. We saw by Roger Federer. If it comes to mind every single now and then when you go on the pitch of play, then it will also be more like a setback to you, because you won't be able to express yourself freely. You will always be under that pressure. You have to win this game and go to the next in order to break this particular record. But I think he still got everything in his powers. I mean, at the point where we saw Yannick Sinner being suspended due to that doping case for a few months, came back and still be the Yannick Sinner we used to know. Yes, some would say he's been training behind the scenes even when, of course, he was still under that suspension. But for the very fact that he returned back, still, of course, have some level of authority, and on tour level competitions, he signals some level of quality in the Italian. Well, just like I said, I can't actually, of course, say where he would finish at the US Open. But I feel there is something about Yannick Sinner which I think can actually sustain him all through the entire duration of the tournament. If he's fortunate enough with injuries, maybe go to the finals with Carlos Alcaraz once again. And of course, we see quite an epic battle at the finals. But I think the man at the moment is quite ready for the US Open.
Well, Yannick Sinner has won his last 22 matches, and it's that conversation on hard court. And there's another hard court competition. It could be one to really look forward to. He's won 2 Grand Slam titles this year, Australian Open and Wimbledon.
Absolutely.
The conversation is Carlos Alcaraz has won 1
Wow.
French Open. So hard court seems to be a favorite ground for Yannick Sinner. I might just go all the way to win it. A big question, another question would then be, what has been the limitation of hard court competition, the US Open, that others couldn't win it back-to-back? When you win it, next season it has to be another person getting to win it. That we're expecting Yannick Sinner to break the dog. But let's move ahead and talk about a talking point around it. It would be the very fact that Yannick Sinner will be taking on a key player for me in this one. Next for Yannick Sinner would be Alex Popyrin for a place in the 3rd round. We're looking forward to Popyrin had condemned Novak Djokovic to the A-list Grand Slam exit since 2017 last year in New York. Quickly, let's move and talk about Alexander Zverev launching US Open bid quite early. Well, the game between Coco Gauff's game took so long, going to the middle of the night, a 3-setter, about 3 hours it was for Coco Gauff, and had to delay the time for Alexander Zverev, but somehow he's found the balance, getting a victory at the end of it. 6-2, 7-6, 6-4 win over Chile Alejandro Abilo.
Well, I think for Alexander Zverev, he's the last, male superstar to play the first round game. So not early, maybe too late at 1 a.m. But at the end of it, I think he was able to hold his own against his opponent. And now for Alexander Zverev, the story has always been winning a Grand Slam, because he's quite at his age, at the level he's reached. I think he's just had this near success syndrome, especially with the likes of Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz being players in his era. Because when you look at it, I feel like he would have done more, maybe without the likes of Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner. Probably would have seen Zverev, because he's been very consistent. Putting with the likes of Daniel Medvedev and Stefano Tsitsipas and those other ones, I feel Zverev has been the more consistent one. Always losing maybe have a semi-finals to maybe Yannick Sinner or Carlos Alcaraz. So that's always been the thing. I think he has to find a way to go past this Herculean Achilles heel, because I look at Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz as his Achilles heel. He doesn't lose to, maybe people outside the top 10, outside the 50 like Daniel Medvedev does. He's always to superstars who are actually, at the very top with him. So he just has to go past that particular stage and maybe break the ceiling and finally see Alexander Zverev win something. This year is yet to win any competition. So maybe this might just be the one for Alexander Zverev.
I mean, it might say from 42, looking at Zverev, and if he gets to win the US Open at the end of it, it could be something to really anticipate. but for the games took place, the likes of Tommy Paul beating Mela 6-3, 6-3, 6-1. A victory for Tommy Paul, the U.S. international player. And we're talking about British Fenley also having a good time against Bautista in this one. A 7-5, 6-2, 5-7, 6-4 victory for him. Talking about Fenley. And Jurila Heka, 20th seed player against Chervery, will be taking on to the Novak Djokovic. We talked about it at the Arthur Arch Stadium against Vashda. Novak Djokovic, 7-seeded. Many principles to look forward to. Historically, takes on them. We talked about earlier and what happened before now, but Novak Djokovic in the second round of the competition would be doing the magic against Vashda in this one, a U.S. tennis player. And another U.S. player in it, Nakashima, against a Chinese player, Kim, I want to really talk about. Well, before you get to talk about the women's game, let's look at the U.S. Open. Somehow, at the U.S. Open, we see a U.S. players doing quite well. I remember 2022, it was about the likes of Francis Tiafoe showing class and dominance, coming out to the semi-finals of it, losing to Carla Zakaras, and moving forward, the likes of Taylor Fritz got in the quarterfinals of Grand Slam in recent times. At the tournament taking place in the U.S., what are we looking at? A possibility of a strong contender from the U.S. in this one.
It is always unfortunate because if you also look at it over the years, especially around the, of course, male competition, that's the ATP particularly, it has always been near success syndrome. I mean, you see them go to the quarterfinals, the semi-finals. Luckily, if you even see them go to the finals, they're always being beaten. You have to also understand there have been, you know, of course, the home, fans cheering some of these lads up, especially when they're actually playing, and that could also be a very big motivation. But I think the problem I have, especially with men's US participants, is the very fact that they're not getting as many trophies as possible to themselves. Even the US Open are not doing so.
Not the biggest name anyway. When it has to do with tennis at the moment, especially in the male category.
Yeah, that could also count for something. But the same happened, within the WTA scene after the likes of Serena Williams left the scene. I mean, we saw Coco Gauff, trying to, rival other players now. Coco Gauff was nowhere to be found. Well, but a young star has built up blocks.
Jessica Pegula in the US, Madison Keys.
Last year was Jessica Pegula's best year.
Naomi Osaka, not US.
No. Serena Williams.
No, I said after Serena Williams left the scene.
We're talking about US players.
US players.
US.
No, she's not.
No, she's not.
Naomi Osaka.
No, not Japan.
Was that the name?
Japan, definitely.
Naomi Osaka, Japan, Haiti.
Absolutely. So I look at the very fact that after Serena Williams left the scene, Jessica Pegula, even the last 2 years, Jessica Pegula was nowhere to be found. Last year was our best year, finishing the top 4 of the WTA ranking. So that shows you that the US, contingents are beginning to close that gap in terms of, quality with other players. Same could also be said with the men, but the men have to start winning Grand Slams. That's when I would take them serious. Francis Tiafoe, some, of course, glimpse of brilliance, but unfortunately, no way to be found. Taylor Fritz now is the talk of the town. Yeah. So I want to see more of them. Go to the finals. That will be something quite competitive for me.
Well, something competitive, which David is talking about here, them going to the finals. So let's talk about the women's category then. And we start with the US players. Coco Gauff, definitely. Well, funny thing, I started a conversation talking about Coco Gauff changing coaches and taking a technical player or coach who's helped Serena Arena Sabalenka rather in previous time regarding herself, but it was still a mental exhaustion for Coco Gauff because met few errors quite early in this one, shooting harder for her rather, playing against some top opening that we're looking at and talking about what gets to happen. But funny thing, we've seen a struggle for Coco Gauff, especially taking on Arja Tomljanovic in this one. And well, the numbers adding up for her 6-4, 6-7, 2-7, 7-5. But at the end of it, a victory for Coco Gauff, 3 hours. And she came out boasting and saying, look, I'm exhausted.
Well, I think for Coco Gauff is always going to be that a particular story surrounding her because I think since the start of this year, we've seen her try to change the way she serves. I don't know why she just decided to, change that at this point of her career. But
well, probably it wasn't working out for her, so she has to improve in that.
Well, she's gotten quite a level of success with that particular serve.
Yeah, so coming up, and people beginning to find out.
Maybe
I wouldn't want to think that Coco just sat there and said, "Oh, let me change the way I'm playing." It came out of pressure.
But now she's going through more.
I think it's not even the way of changing the way she plays. It's just a way of trying to better the way she plays.
It was more or less a weakness in her game. Herself, so had to better it. At first, it was who was a former coach of it at a time, because we're talking about a time she sacked Coach Madali and hiring biomechanics expert Kevin Macmillan in this one. But somewhat somehow it's not really worked out for her, especially when you're playing Argent top Janovic, and many expected her to do quite well, but somewhat somehow she found a way to win in the third set, but a huge struggle at the end of it.
I think the pressure comes when, of course, she has it at the back of her mind that she's not good enough in serves. I mean, the tension starts coming. Definitely, you also
she's
expect.
Not good enough.
Yeah, we know you're not good enough, but when you start thinking of it when you're in court, it's just like a player who loses confidence about his quality.
Is that how you can think about it?
No, I'm not saying
you're making the first serve is not working out, and make the third second is not working. It has to get caught up with you.
Understand the facts. I mean, every player, even the likes of Arina Zabalenka, they've also got weakness.
Yeah.
That I think some players find them out. But the moment you, of course, wear it within yourself, while you're on court, having it at the back of your mind, you will not be able to concentrate.
How do you even do it without wearing it?
No,
the only solution is just to get better at it.
That's why she's not good mentally now. That's why she's not good mentally.
No, she's going through exhaustion.
I understand exhaustion. I mean, it's all encompassing. First of all, she has a new coach. Trying to battle something on the pitch.
What does she have to do? Because here's a conversation, because you're going all psychological here now, motivational. This is the same. What does she have to do?
Now here is it.
Does she have to? Let me put it in clear perspective.
Okay.
So you get it. Does she have to save the first one? It's not working. Save the second and say, "Oh, no worry, not getting to me," but it's getting to her.
This is it now. Before we even talked about Coco not good at serves, she won a Grand Slam.
Yeah, well,
she won top-level competitions.
In fact, it was a surprise.
So why wasn't it affecting her at the time? That's another angle to the question. She was winning big competitions. So now the fact is the very fact that he wants to improve more.
She wants to be better.
The same way you were winning competitions, even bad at serves, you can still do it. Just understand that this thing is not just, of course, a one-day thing. It is a gradual process. It will definitely come. As you improve your game, it will definitely come. So whenever you start wearing it at the back of your mind, you're not good enough, definitely you will not be competent enough, even against lower opponents on the pitch. That's what's affecting her at the moment.
All right, Tuba David giving perspective to it, going all motivational about it. But the most important thing is just for Coco Gauff to get better at it, at herself, definitely. And then she wouldn't have to wear anything. And just know that she's Coco Gauff and be better at the end of it. And meanwhile, let's talk about a lady that's done the magic. Everyone is talking about her. It had to be Sigamoth, as she's continuing the year upset at the US Open with defeat of Nada. And while 52-ranked 37-year-old came through a wildly entertaining game and caught 51, but the most important thing is she beating number 20 seed Diana Nada in this one. Well, Diana Shana was the winner of the Monterrey Open, and she's gotten better of her. But the most important thing for the tennis is improvement that comes with Sigma being ranked 52 in the world. Now she's nudging into the top 20 after upsetting in the first week of 3 top 20 players. She's doing quite well and adding up the number, and that's what we're looking at and where the direction comes in all of this now. Well, good performance for her, defeating Zengi Wang at the Australian Open second round, beating Madison Keys in the Wimbledon third round, and a fourth player this decade to accomplish such a feat. So we're looking at Sigamoth getting the numbers right. Probably, we don't know where she gets to, but the performance have been uptick.
Well, I think she's been a very, led soldier in recent times. She's come through the ranks trying to defeat top names. When you look at what she's been able to do, I would say it's quite commendable. Beating Diana Schneider. I think Diana Schneider, apart from the Monterrey Open, which she won last week, I think she's not really been one of the top names in female tennis, this particularly. We have people with more success than Diana Schneider. So I was expecting her. Maybe it's just about the rankings. Now, most times the rankings do not really tell the story. There was a time during June, this particular year, we had Iggy Swiatek at world number 6. That didn't mean she was the 6th best player in the world. Now she's back to world number 2. That's what I'm seeing about Sigmund. We are definitely going to see Sigmund
the case of Iggy Swiatek would always be different. We know what she's done before now. Well, so putting in the same sector as Sigmund.
No, I'm just saying you put it like by like now.
No, you can't put it. No, you can't put it side by side.
Sigmund is way better than Dinah Schneider in recent times. You cannot compare it. She's just at a lower ranking. She's going to surpass the woman very soon.
If you were better, why are you not at a higher ranking? That's a conversation.
It's just a lead surge in ranking point, depending on the competitions you faced in. Sigmund didn't really start competing at the start of the year.
Here's the argument, whether she appeared or not. We're just talking about improvement that comes with her. We agree to that, but it's a gimmick fit against a player that's won a trophy. What's her record? Upsetting top opponent, top 20 opponent. But we're not let her win a 250 event then. And then we can talk about her for winning also. Come on, you can't take it away from a player that's won it, absolutely. About Iggy Swiatek cruising to the US Open second round, and the likes of Senna Cartel are among 4 Brits to exit US Open in the first round. Venus Williams giving US Open doubles wildcard with Fernandez. She's not resting with David, is she?
I'm not resting at the moment. Why should she be resting when she's competing at top level? So let her continue.
Okay. My sister dropped a message for her on Instagram and said, "I want to be like you."
When Serena Williams wants to be like Venus at the age of 41 thereabout, there is something, because Serena Williams is considered the greatest tennis player in the Open era, definitely in the women's game. But now she's envious of her sister.
Well, if Venus, who's her senior sister, can do it, then Serena can do it.
I don't think she will want to do it. Go through that. Serena doesn't love losing.
Exactly.
That could be another picture. But Venus is a bit comfortable at the moment.
Absolutely.
Well, she knows what she wants. She says she's keeping fit. Serena wouldn't want to keep fit in front of everybody and be losing games.
And be beaten by Victoria Mboko.
Definitely, before I get to talk about football stories, Aruna Quadri of Nigeria retains African top sport as Nigerians slip in the ranking. You heard it during the sports wrap-up. And the D-Tigers star Kalu joins new Chinese franchise. Well, before we go on a quick break, David, just a bit on Kalu is in there, what she's been able to achieve so far. At the moment, she's becoming more like a Johnny woman.
Absolutely.
In recent times, the world of basketball went to the US and not still long, went to China, went to here. And now we're hearing she's joining the Chinese franchise.
Well, I think in as much as we're talking about Ezine Kalu being a Johnny woman, she's also making lots of money.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Because the more you move, the more the money keeps increasing.
Yeah.
And now we're also talking about the quality of the lady. I mean, in the last 2-3 editions of the Afro Women's Basketball, she's been, the best player of the tournament. So that certainly shows you the quality of the lady at the moment. So, of course, it is my delight to see her grow even further. I do not know how long she will stay right here with this particular Chinese side, but I think she showed quality over time. And I could also understand why, of course, franchise across different countries are gunning for her every single season.
Well, it's a conversation that comes with us in there, Kalu, and the opportunities that comes with it, especially going to the Chinese franchise, a top-level basketball player from Nigeria. It's that conversation. But now we'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, it will be football stories all around the world, an attraction that comes with it. A part of the conversation definitely would be centered around the teams that have qualified for the UEFA Champions League. Debutant in that regard, we'll pieces it and look at every piece in it, what it did. We're looking forward to the expanded Champions League. And similarly, when we return, we'll talk about the Nigerian Premier Football and all you think about in the world of transfer. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Sports Central. My name is Vladimir Kimutuela. Having fun tonight, still with me for company. Going nowhere. Now we talk about football stories around the world. And the start of it will be the Nigerian Premier Football League, as the MPFL will be gifting Gomodela, the coach, and Anas 1.5 million naira each in Abuja. And funny tonight, what are we looking at? Reward system we're talking about here.
Well, I think it's been a long way. Come remember Anas Yusuf? I think that was way back in May or June when the season ended. He was supposed to go get his prize from the sponsors of the Nigerian League, but he was asked to withdraw from that. So I think probably this is where we're going to see that. And now he's coming from the MPFL. So I'm still wondering, what of the one that was supposed to come from the sponsor of the league? Is this just going to be scrapped and now it's just going to make do with the 1.5 by the MPFL? Well, would get more.
Ultimately, David, getting more clarity on it. Yeah. Remember at the time, while the withdrawal took place, was there was an agreement between the MPFL and the sponsors at the time. So is that conversation looking at the 2024-2025 season? Yusuf Anas and coach Daniel Gumodele are set to be rewarded September 2nd on a Tuesday in Abuja. And the award and reception held up due to the engagement of the duo in the preparation and participation of the Chan Eagles team. And Otumba Benga Elegbeleye, MPFL chairman, has stated the date, as we've heard, and it's that conversation. Well, the last time at Anas of Naswa United was a top scorer with 17 goals, while Ogumodede led Remo Stars to a historic title success for the first time since the club was founded. No matter who the money is coming from, it's something what receiving from the labs.
Absolutely, 1.5 million, huge money. I do not know why they
maybe not too huge in this economy. Before now, it was big money.
Huge for some persons.
Yeah, huge for some persons. But I do not think it's such a huge money for
definitely. But I think whatever the problems the MPFL board had with the sponsors of this particular award, they should be able to sort it out. One thing that lacks in the MPFL, even in this current dispensation, has been transparency. Most times they get into deals and MPFL followers do not get to know. So we do not know whether or not they're back into terms with those sponsors. Maybe during the awards night we'll definitely find a clearer picture.
Many people might not get to really agree with you, especially when it has to be with being open, especially from the MPFL board.
No, they still lack transparency.
To what extent?
Should I explain to you?
Go ahead.
Last season they had, of course, a deal with a particular, TV. Yeah, a TV right to the particular company. They had with StarTimes, had with another. But this season, we heard before the start of the league that they had some problems with StarTimes. That's why we'll not have the first match week 1 of the MPFL season on our screens. But we do not know.
How is that lack of transparency?
Yeah, we do not know. This is it. This is it now. A caller asked on radio why they were on TV. I couldn't have answers to it because there were no confirmations.
Yeah, because there are no answers to it. Maybe they don't have it.
That's where they lack transparency. No. In Senate climbs, I'll explain to you. In Senate climbs, it doesn't happen. I mean, if you have a particular, it doesn't happen in Senate climbs.
What now?
TV rights are done before the start
of the season.
Yeah, but if you don't have the deal, you don't have the deal.
Then come out and categorically state we're not on air. That's the transparency. But so that you won't put. Let me learn now. So that you won't put the MPFL followers, I mean, in a dark spot. They do not know how to follow this league except going to stadiums that are actually close to their doorstep. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. You're talking about being professional.
I think the word for me, the word lack of transparency is a huge one in that regard.
It is still a big problem because the numbers even in that deal in the first season were not even stated. Yeah. So how do we know the duration, whether or not who to hold accountable?
Well, I agree. Yes, I agree that a lot has to be done. I'm not holding brief for the MPFL, but when I look at where we were and where we are now,
we're not better. We still are not better.
A lot of improvement.
I can't clap for them until they do the right thing. They have to do the right thing 100%. No, you're citing improvement, but they've not done enough.
Here's the point, because I think sometimes we can make a lot of demand, but if they don't have a deal, they don't have a deal.
My problem is not having a deal.
Like I talked about at the start of this conversation, we still don't know why that particular award was pulled out for.
That's the thing.
No, it was clear. It was clear. It came out. It was clear. What they said was a particular body, I've forgotten the name of it, but we talked about it on the show. They wanted to do the award. They didn't approve of it because you have to be an alignment with the MPFL to give the award.
Why did
you cannot. No.
They were the sponsors of the league. This is not the first time they're giving that particular award. They did it last season.
No, they weren't the sponsors of the league.
Don't mention the word. They have been in charge of award.
Whatever the case, Blyden, this is my point.
Here's the point.
This is my point.
No, you're going to make it. Hold on. Just hold on a bit. You're going to make your point. This is what I'm saying. We cannot sit here and say what is not. First of all, MPFO came out and disagreed and said, look, this guy is giving the award. We don't know about them. It's as simple as that. They don't know about them, and we keep it at that. You cannot say, why did they not know about them? That's the point, accusing them that they should have given. And now they're giving the award, and in an MPFO, they're supposed to sanction the award as the body. So you a body or a sponsor's right, he cannot use the name of MPFL to give an award that they've not sanctioned. That's the point I'm making from there. So we cannot say, no, they should have. It's what happened, and they came out clear to it. I believe they have to do more, but it's a long way in the Nigerian Premier Football League, where we are and where we're going. But I think many people would agree to the fact that there's been a bit of improvement. Whatever David says is not he, so I wouldn't say it's not. I wouldn't say it's,
I'm not impressed.
yeah, you're not. But let's continue and talk about a still Nigerian footballer in this now, and something, I don't know if Utoya would be impressed with this one. Well, the Super Eagles B team captain joins Iraqi side. Whoa. What the club is April FC, and therefore now the signing of Remo Stars keeper Nduka Jr., captain of the Super Eagles B team. Well, so I'll come to you. I'll come to you because I know you're not impressed.
What is the Nigerian doing in Iraq?
Money.
Oil money.
Oh,
money.
Oil money.
Yeah, money. That's it.
Well, I think it's good. Basically, it's actually good, but I'm also looking at the quality of the Iraq league, particularly. Aside from monetary reasons, I do not feel, of course, it's quite a good hunting ground for a Nigerian international. Remo Stars captain, one of the standout performers even at the national team for the Super Eagles speed side. But it is what it is. He has to go. Money must be made, especially.
Well, I mean, I'm quite sad about this particularly because I feel like Junior Nduka rather has he's a very good defender from what I've watched him in the NPF, and I think he should have just gone through the normal route. But I understand.
Oh, what's a normal route? That's another conversation.
Go to a team that maybe a team in Norway.
Most times it's also about options.
Absolutely.
It's also about options because at the end of the season,
funny thing I keep saying, trust me, it's part of the agent and the team.
Trust me, he has options before he goes to Iraq.
He's not the first Nigerian that's gone to Iraq.
This is it now.
Remember the former Akwa United striker went to Iraq.
This is it now. You may have options in Norway, but then the offer doesn't even match the offer you
might not
in Iraq.
You might not
sometimes you may not even have.
No,
it's a two-way thing now. Sometimes you may have, and the offer doesn't match. Sometimes you may not.
Let's assume that he doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's assume that he doesn't because they've not told her they have or not.
Absolutely.
But let's look at recent routes of Nigerian players. He moved to the Nigerian Premier Football League, maybe go to Sudan, and from Sudan or Tanzania,
Libya,
and go to Libya, come back to the Nigerian Premier Football League, and probably you go to one of them. You go to what's it called now? I'm looking at this country.
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan is top level. There's another country I'm trying to get
Afghanistan.
the name.
We've seen Daniel Daga go from a Yimba to.
That was Daniel Daga. Come on.
Mention another name.
How many? How many have we had?
What's this? Papa Daniel Mustafa. Where is he at now? He also went to Europe, a club in Europe. So at this point, I feel we.
I mean, it doesn't happen often. We're talking about 2 out of 100.
It's a lot easier.
It's all about what these players want. I can. Let's look at Wisdom Fernando now as an example. I feel like Wisdom Fernando is one of those players who just want. I don't want to call him out, but I feel he's one of those players who want quick money schemes. Just want.
It's all about quick money.
Where did he go to?
Let's get it clear.
He's been trying to run away from Akwa United when he was at Akwa United. Right now he's at Asante.
Let's get it clear.
What are his offers? What are his offers? Is that where he should be by now? What are his offers?
Well, out of time, I would have actually explained to him to understand.
At times, we ended up talking about interesting stuff. But meanwhile, Niger Tornadoes versus Nasarawa United in the NPFL will be taking place to the big game to talk about. One of the match day ones that were left behind. The game takes place today. Meanwhile, Morocco has beaten Senegal on penalties 5-3 to face Madagascar in the final. And we're talking about who else now played now. Sudan lost to Madagascar. Morocco beat Senegal. And it would be a final between Madagascar and Morocco. Sudan lost 1-0. Morocco beat Senegal on penalties. That conversation. No time to dwell on it from a European point of view. 7 games took place yesterday. But we here at Paphos is a Greek Cypriot team. They came on board 2014. Now they've qualified for the UEFA Champions League. Porto Glimt also joined Karet of Kazakhstan to qualify for the UEFA Champions League. Whatever David have a bite on this.
Well, good stuff. Seeing debutants in the UEFA Champions League, the few faces. Pafo FC have what's his name, David Luiz, former Arsenal and Chelsea defender in there. Recently signed for the side. So I think it will be good to see. I'm not expecting much from them in terms of advancing, to the knockout stages, but participation is also key for them. Get that money and then help the club side. Well,
they played a 1-0 draw against Red Star Belgrade along the line of beaten Maccabi Tel Aviv.
I'm only disappointed in Celtic, coached by Brendan Rodgers. They would have done better. Unfortunately.
Well, if they did better, Carrots wouldn't have qualified anyway. Because Carrots defeated Celtic in this one on aggregate 3-2, but 0-0 it was. Stormgrass had beaten Borderclaim, but Godalming qualified at the end of it. Is that conversation. Meanwhile, the Carabao Cup had taken place yesterday. The likes of Reading played a 2-1 victory over Wimbledon. Cambridge United also getting a victory against Charlton Athletic. Wolverhampton Wanderers beating West Ham United, and Accrington Stanley losing to Doncaster Rovers 2-0. And Bromley against Wycombe is that conversation of 1-1. Penalty shoots at Wycombe got a victory, and Wigan Athletic won. Stockport County 0, and Swansea City 1-1 draw against Plymouth Argyle 5-3. Swansea qualify by penalty, and Stoke City being beaten by Bradford City, and Preston North End, and on and on and on. Southampton are beating Norwich City. Well, I just get to the main event. It was the very fact that which team now did quite well. Another game is taking place today. It will be Grimsby against Manchester United. Lots of changes for Manchester United anywhere as we set to bounce. Galatasaray are in talks over loan for Spurs Bissouma. Vince Bissouma would likely move to Galatasaray. Meanwhile, Manchester United Betis are working on Anthony Dos Santos deal before deadline. And Vasquez joined Bayer Leverkusen after 10 years at Real Madrid. And is that conversation. Chelsea's Chukwuemeka has joined Borussia Dortmund in permanent move. And Norway call up Martin Odegaard to ease Arsenal injuries concern. And Real Madrid, Atletico, Manchester United minor, and Chelsea weighing complex move for Barcelona. Fermin Lopez are here. They beat it 50 million euros, but the player wants to stay at Barcelona. Well, it's all of it, taking lots of time talking about Nigerian stories. We have to draw the curtain now. Thank you, Tubadayot, for being a part of it.
A pleasure as always. We return tomorrow. More discussion continues.
More discussion continues tomorrow regarding Manchester United, but we have to bounce. My name is Bladen Kim. Thank you for being a part of it.